So yes, as I said, welcome to Australia, Tanner.
Thank you.
When did you get in?
Yesterday.
How's the jet
Yesterday.
lag?
Yes. Yes,
It-
definitely.
it's a real thing.
Definitely.
So you're here for Riding Hearts Festival, but for people that don't know, you've had a very interesting life. So born in Kentucky,
hmm
raised in California, college in Wyoming. You've pretty much seen the world in those three states, I would say.
They're
Yeah.
very different. All of them are very different for sure.
So what was it like for you growing up? When did you sort of know that music was in your future?
I've always loved singing and dancing, and I started writing music when I was really young because I've played piano pretty much my whole life. And it's just been always at the forefront of my interests has been the music industry and just my own creativity. But as it got closer and closer to a time where I had to choose, okay, am I gonna go to school? What am I gonna go to school for? What do I want to do with the rest of my life? Um, as I got older, I realized that this was something I could actually do, and ended up going to school for commercial music. And I met my voice teacher there, and she was like, "You could really do this if you wanted to do this. You shouldn't be in school. You should be out there actually doing it." And so I listened to her, and I moved to Nashville.
And Nashville being the music mecca of the world. Now, listening to your songs, there's a range to your genre. How do you describe your music?
um, it's hard to say in like not a lot of words because it's really at the end of the day, it's just very me.
Yep.
But I've heard the term glam country passed around a little bit, and it's just sparkly country. It's girly country. It's fun country, and it's a really vast not majority, but a vast um, amount of influences that kind of have just been little things that I've collected throughout the years.
Excellent. So I'm going to make sure when we post this, I hashtag glam country because we need to fool the
Yeah.
algorithm. The algorithm is a big thing now. You know,
Amazing.
it's its own genre, the algorithm. So,
Yeah.
glam country, I think is actually a really great way to sum it up. So for you, who were your influences then?
I grew up listening to a lot of jazz. My dad is like a huge jazz person, and he loved disco. So as a kid, that was what I was listening to was a lot of Bee Gees and ABBA, um, uh, Earth, Wind and Fire, Diana Ross, Donna Summer. It was a lot of older music, and that's still what I listen to today. And so I don't know if I sonically like create the same kind of sound of the music that I'm like interested in, the things that inspire me. But I think there's definitely a sort of freedom that comes from that era of music. And I think for me, when I'm creating music, that really is how I create it. I'm not thinking about, oh, what's the radio going to think, or what are other people going to think, or is this country enough, or should this be more pop? I'm not thinking about any of that. It's a very free expression when I'm in the studio. And so I think that definitely is inspired by disco. I feel like there was a lot of experimentation with vocals and instruments and different chord progressions throughout like the disco. And obviously jazz is very expressive, and you can kind of just play whatever you want. But I think that's where I get that from.
I think the disco was the last genre of music to not be scared.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even my favorite band in the world, Kiss, jumped the shark and did a disco song. You know, so I'm a kid of the '70s, so disco was pretty huge. That's all you
Mm-hmm.
heard. So it's funny that you mentioned ABBA and the Bee Gees because there's a lot of melody in your songs, and now I understand where your love of melody has come from.
For sure. For sure. You're right. It is. It feels like the last era where it's freedom of expression and anything goes, you
Yeah.
know. I mean, those Bee Gees vocals are so, I mean, intricate, and you just don't get that as much leaving the 70s.
Do you think that music today has lost some of its feeling?
I don't know. I think there's definitely a lot of artists that are putting a lot of their heart into music, and maybe it's gotten to the point where we're so saturated in social media that maybe we see um, a lot of people who are trying to be like someone that they're seeing on social media versus using music as like just your absolute self-expression. But I don't think there's a lack of artists who are putting their hearts on the line, you know.
Cool. Now, last year you released Buckle Bunny. Now, I Googled the term, and it's cool to see that even rodeo riders have groupies. So good for them.
Yeah.
Um, was was that title brought to you, or you just thought it was the greatest one to go with?
Oh, I was called a buckle bunny a lot as a teenager, and as you know, in my 20s, it's been figuring out what my style is, and I love Western wear, but I also love, you know, a collection of all vintage items and incorporating all sorts of fun things into my fashion. And so going to rodeos dressed up or with my hair and my makeup done, it's just a term that gets thrown around at, you know, a woman who wants to dress up and go to the rodeo as a way to kind of tear someone down. And I just wanted to change that narrative. And it was a song that I had wanted to write for a really long time. I had an idea of what I wanted it to be about. And I wrote it with a couple of my really good friends, to be honest.
Awesome. So speaking of writing, is it sitting at a piano for you first? Is it a vocal
Mm.
melody? Where does your writing process come from?
All different kinds of things. Sometimes it's just a piano, or sometimes I'm in public or literally in a restaurant and I'll think of something and I'll voice memo it quietly, or write down a few lines. And sometimes I think of titles and I'll send them to, I have a co-writer that I really love sending my ideas to, and just so I don't forget them too. And we'll go into the studio, hey, you sent me this last week, like, are you still feeling like that's something you want to write about? So it's inspiration comes from all sorts of things, and it just depends on the situation, because I can't be in a studio 24/7 as much as I would like to be.
Have you just come up with a title and written a whole song around the title with no idea where it's going to go?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I have a
Well,
whole just a list of like hundreds of titles in a note in my phone.
I hope you back them up.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Excellent. So I also read that you were an incredibly shy kid. So when your family would come in the room, you would just clam up, not sing.
Yeah.
What helped you overcome that fear?
Um, my voice teacher, Nancy Baumgartner, my first year of college, she was assigned to me, and she essentially told me, because she told me I could really do this, and I was like, no, I think I can just like be like a recording artist. Like maybe I don't have to do like the real live side, and I can write and I can just record things in the studio. And she told me there are lots of artists that deal with like just stage fright and performance anxiety and social anxiety, and that it all came from a place of not feeling confident in your voice and feeling like, okay, well, where does that anxiety come from? Probably from me thinking, what if I go up there and I mess up, or my voice cracks, or I can't sing something as well as I want to. Um, and so the process of getting through that actually consisted of a lot of self affirmations and building my confidence to be able to go up on stage and just be completely confident in what I was doing. I haven't experienced performance anxiety since my first year of college, and my social anxiety is better. I'm definitely still my persona on stage, and I think social media is, people think that I'm a lot more extroverted than I am. I'm very, I don't want to say awkward because I don't want to like pin that on myself,
Yep.
but you know, I'm definitely still shy. I not as painfully shy. When I was a little younger, I was painfully shy. But it's still uncomfortable to be in some social situations, and meeting new people can be really hard. But I feel most comfortable and most confident on stage.
The one thing I really liked, because when you do an interview, you actually have to look around for the person you're interviewing. But your social media, you're not an oversharer. Some
No.
artists and celebrities, it's like, oh, I haven't posted in 2 hours. Haven't, but yours is a less is more vibe, and it's amazing. So thank you for not being an oversharer.
Yes, quality over quantity.
That's exactly the term I was looking for.
Yeah.
All right, so you're here for Riding Hearts.
Mhm.
Are you playing with a full band, or is it just going to be a stripped back show? What can people expect?
Yes. So it'll be full band. I'm bringing drums and a guitar, and then I play with tracks as well because a lot of my music has elements that you can't get from just a
Yeah.
live instrument. I'll be playing for a couple minutes. I've been making my outfits. I'm so excited to premiere them. I do a lot of like vintage shopping and upcycling of clothes and sewing my own things. And I've been working on these for a little while now, so I'm excited to showcase them, and people can expect a good time. I hope people will dress up and come to have a good time because it's going to be a blast. And I know a lot of people on the lineup, and it's just going to be an amazing couple of days.
So are you looking at this like almost like a showcase for a future full tour of Australia?
I hope so. I hope that that's what this turns into. Honestly, I feel really welcomed by Australia. I've been hanging around Sydney, and a couple people have come up to me and said, "Oh my gosh, I love your music." And I'm like, "Are you coming to Ridin Hearts?" So it's exciting to see that people here are not only connecting with my music, but also feel comfortable to come say hi. And I'm excited to see them on Saturday.
Well, while you won't be coming to Brisbane, which is where I'm from, I will say when you come back, we are the country capital of Australia.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness. Okay, I'm coming your way.
we have a thing called a ute muster. So for you, a ute is a pickup.
Oh,
So that we've got a few different country events up here. One's called CMC Rocks, which is just massive 3-day country festival. So put
amazing.
put that in the phone notes.
Okay, it's going on my
Yeah.
list of to-dos.
Now, a lot of artists today don't make money off albums. It's all about the tour. But it's only been a year since Buckle Bunny. When are we
Yeah.
looking at a follow up?
So I am here in Australia for the week. I'm going back to the States and immediately starting my first headlining tour.
Yep.
Literally that weekend, it sold out in the pre-sale in 2 minutes. So we
Wow.
added more tickets to more venues, and that sold out immediately. We're already looking at more dates in more cities because there's a lot of people who have expressed that they want me to come to their cities. And I've been working on an album. I've been working on an album for the past about 2 years and compiling something that I really feel like embodies me as a person, but also stories, my story, my life, my journey, and a few things that I haven't shared with my fans yet, but are really deep parts of me that I'm excited for them to know.
What about a dream collaboration? Who would you love to have
Mm.
guest on your album?
There's a couple of people. I'm pretty good friends with Lady Wilson. She's just a power girl. She's definitely someone who I look up to in the industry as a big sister. I would love to have her on a song or two. And I love Chapel Roan for in a pop world moment.
Mhm.
Absolutely love Chapel Roan.
How do you feel about pop artists going full country at the moment? Do you think that sort of it's great? Do you think they should lean into it little by little or just jump in the deep end of the pool?
I mean, I feel like all genres of music are for everyone. And for some reason, country has kind of been one that has been like its own little bubble, even though country artists have reached out and done pop collabs and rap collabs, hip hop collaborations. It hasn't really been the other way around. So it is interesting to see so many artists trying to go into that direction, I don't hate it. I think it's fun. I think country's for everyone. I think grab a hat, grab your boots, and be cute for the day, be a cowgirl for the day. I think it's awesome.
The more sparkles, the better.
Exactly.
All right, so I'm going to leave you with this. You're writing for a new album, headlining tour. Where do you see Tanner in 3 years?
3 years?
Yes.
Oh man.
That's the most people go 5 or 10 years. I'm just going to really mess it up and say three.
Three, I think in 3 years, I'll be announcing a global tour
Excellent. And
for
Australia
sure.
will be multiple dates. There'll be country
For
festivals,
sure.
all of it.
Arenas and stadiums.
I like the way you think. Like
Yeah,
100,000 minimum is where we're going.
at least.
Yeah, great.
At least.
Awesome. Tanner, enjoy Riding Hearts. Enjoy your time in
Thank
Australia. And I
you.
will see you within 3 years.
Yay.